Is Sony actively trying to sabotage the Microsoft acquisition of Activision? Let's dive into the details. Oh, my friends, we have a spicy one today. Now, we all know Microsoft is trying to spend about $70 billion dues to acquire Activision, ABK, whatever you want to call them. They are trying to get this through, and as of right now, the limelight is currently on the UK, where they are going into phase 2 of their review of the acquisition. Now, there's been a lot of spicy rumors, which we'll dive into here in a second, but for the OGs, and I'm talking the OGs who have been following this channel, and honestly, just some stuff I've done more than a decade ago, I have a slight obsession with rumors and following them through to from beginning to end. It's so much of obsession that back in, what was it, 2012, I actually built a website called Tracker that actually did that. I was tracking rumors and it was a labor of love. I have ended up spinning it off into a financial startup that didn't do so well, but it ended up being a great thing. But either way, this was the website and I was tracking rumors all across the internet, and it was a labor of love. There was no money in it and it was a pain in the butt to do. And each page, or each entity, I should say, had their own page that would track how accurate the rumors were. And the reason why I bring this up is to show that I'm slightly obsessed with like following rumors through from beginning to end, so much so that when this rumor came out, I was like, let's just kind of dive into the details. So the details that came out are from this account, Millie A. Now, I will be fully transparent because this site no longer exists and I can't really track rumors the way that I used to. This is a big rumor. Now, I don't know how well she does, assuming it's a she based on her profile image. It could be anything. It could be a robot. Who knows? I don't know her track record. People on Reddit and other forums are saying like she has an okay track record, like it's actually fine. But let's just read into the tweet that came out this week. It says the ongoing CMA investigation for Microsoft's acquisition of AB, Activision Blizzard, has indeed delayed any showcase plans for Sony exclusive titles and first party. So that is a big bombshell here. So what typically happens is around this time of the year, Sony will have a showcase where they show off their first party titles and do a hype wave. You know, we all know the PlayStation events where they say, here's all the first party titles. Well, Sony is out there saying like, look, if Microsoft buys ABK, we're doomed. We are a Call of Duty only console. And if Microsoft takes that away from us, we are screwed, even though Microsoft says we're not going to be taking it away from it. So this bombshell has resonated across the industry, and I've been tagged in this tweet about 1 million times, so I just tried to dig into it a little bit. So the first thing you try to do when you're trying to understand the validity of a rumor is like, hey, who is this person? Now, before I take any smattering of step to either prove or disprove what's going on here, I want to say that this is only one example that I tracked down. So just keep that in mind. I'm not crediting or discrediting even this tweet. I'm just providing some background information so that we're all aware. So the first thing I pulled up, just searching like what's the validity, was this tweet by the same person saying that we are going to see some Hogwarts, Harry Potter stuff either at the December Game Awards or this month. Now this month meaning there was a Sony PlayStation event, because keep in mind, look at the dates on this tweet. It is important. It is from October of 2021. So roughly exactly a year ago that there should have been some Harry Potter content coming, because that's what people want is Hogwarts Legacy, and it looks pretty good. So what do we do here? We have a bit of information and we say it's either coming at the December Game Awards. So let's go back to the 2021 December Game Awards. And what did we find here? So this is from their showcase, and I tried to scrub through this, and I will fully admit I may have missed something, but you'll see this very top commenter is the hero that we all needed. He went through and highlighted, or she, I should say, went through and highlighted every single game announcement, trailer, scoop, and everything else throughout the entire video with the proper chapters that the Game Show Awards should have had so that people could jump to where they want to go. And what is or is not in this list? I can tell you what's missing from this list. The Hogwarts Legacy stuff is not in this list, so that information was not accurate. And you'll actually see here, once it gets down to the bottom, I was trying to Control F just to make sure I wasn't missing anything, because sometimes the eyes can be a little bit deceiving when you're trying to find specific text. Now, again, somebody could go back through there again. I did it once and just double check that there is no Harry Potter stuff in this particular video. And so that means the other one is the Sony showcase. So that's the next thing that I went and actually watched. And you can see by scrubbing through, I know what Hogwarts Legacy looks like. My kid is a massive Hogwarts fan, or I should say Harry Potter fan. So this game has appeal to my family, honestly, at the end of the day. So I went through and looked, and I did not see here any Harry Potter information. So what does that mean? If there's no Harry Potter in those two videos from this tweet, that means that it's not accurate. So in this specific isolated incident, this individual was not accurate. I'm not saying holistically he is always inaccurate, but this is the first one I came across. I'm like, okay, so it's not there, which brings up some questionable content around this, because this is, my friends, the reason why I bring that up is that this is a significant bit of information. If Microsoft can prove that this is true, that means they can hold Sony's feet to the fire in court, saying like, look, Sony isn't really being forthright, because look, they could have an event showcasing first party exclusives coming, and they deliberately delayed the event so that we could have so there'd be negative effects on the ABK acquisition. Keep in mind, friends, that is a very, very big bit of information, because what Sony has actively said, Sony went and looked in the mirror and said, it is worth paying detriment to our own fan base to stop this. The detriment being, we're not going to show off hype. We're not going to show off what's coming ahead of the pivotal holiday shopping season. We all know how busy the shopping season is. And Sony, according to this, is looking in the mirror and saying, no, we would rather sacrifice some additional hype and revenue to give us a better argument in the UK that this is not happening. That is a big claim. And regardless if it is or isn't true, Microsoft already knows a lot of the first-party content. Microsoft can already prove that there is first-party IP coming to the PlayStation. Why would Sony actively cancel this event or delay it beyond the UK's ruling to do that? I'm not saying that Sony hasn't done this or didn't do this. I mean, Sony is very clearly just, lobbying heavily. And I understand why. Like, I can empathize why Sony is very nervous about this. They want to keep their position at the top of the console game. Who wouldn't? If you're the number one player, why wouldn't you do everything in your power to keep that? And maybe that means delaying a game showcase to achieve that goal, to further, and they may probably have done the math and said, look, even if we don't do this thing, we're still going to sell out of all consoles. So what does it matter? We'll just delay it and not do it, and then we'll get a little bit of extra oomph, fighting power. But at the end of the day, Microsoft can go to the catalog and be like, look, these are all first-party exclusive Sony titles, and they're just being, I don't know, they're just not doing this for reasons I don't understand. But if Microsoft can actually prove that there was validity to that rumor, that they're actively trying to sabotage this, then that is a different conversation. I'm like 50-50. I don't really have a strong opinion either way if this tweet is accurate. I don't have the Sony contacts that deep into the legal department that's saying that they're delaying this. I mean, it's very possible that they could, but there's also a lot of time left, and Sony is going to do what Sony needs to do, which is perfectly fine. But this tweet has been the shot heard around the world. And so I just did I tried to do some diligence, and what I came back with is like, there should be some doubt here. Don't ever take things at face value. That is the entire point. I am not some hero or anything. All I did was just look up the information, try to track down the best that I could. And the conclusion that I came to is like, don't take this as verbatim. And that is exactly how everybody should approach everything. Anybody you see just copying and pasting tweets from her, from myself, from anybody in the industry needs to do their diligence, which is why this site used to exist. Sometimes I wish it still would have been kept around, but for people who are going to write, I'm like, why didn't you keep doing this? Well, this stuff gets very politically heavy, because if you go in there and say somebody got a rumor wrong, they get angry. And then here's the perfect example. Here's an example reason why I would love to spin this back up some one day, but here's one of the challenges. So let's say somebody says the iPhone 15th is going to launch on October 3rd. Well, the iPhone 15th launches on October 4th. Now, if they said this on November 1st, a year ahead of time, they were only off by one day. Were they really wrong? Well, they were off a day. And then not to mention, you get into things like where things change. Like legitimately, it was going to launch October 3rd, and Tim Apple said, you know what? I wasn't feeling good that day. Let's do it the next day. And so it's not as easy. It's never as black and white as anything ever seems. But yeah, that's like, for people who have been around for a long time, I put a lot of effort into this. This was early days. And then I loaded this thing up and was tracking them. And it was kind of like a Snoops sort of thing. The funny thing was, now that I think about it, this was like tracking influencers across the industry, because you could watch a rumor come out, and then you could basically link it across all the different sites. So if somebody, a specific individual, such as this Millie, like what is her potential ability to land news across different entities? And so that was just sort of the background of Tracker, and then I went down a different path because I started doing financial analysts from there. And that transition got a little weird because I hit the wrong button. So either way, my friends, that kind of is my little deep dive into that rumor. So I don't know. Either way, if you want to make sure you're updated on everything that's happening in the world of Xbox, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.